Hello, I'm Darren Rovell from the Action Network, and we're here with Samantha Previte from the Action Network, and we are here in Las Vegas for the 2022 draft, and we're at the Legacy Club at the Circa. So let's talk about fantasy and the draft. Obviously, there's great value in leagues to draft someone who was just drafted because of just the value in general. How does someone know how good that person is going to be? They have the college, they're trying to evaluate as a scout themselves. How do you know? How does it fit into the system? What goes through people's heads?
There are a lot of data points to evaluate. Like you said, I think that we should weight their college performance a lot. Some things that may be overvalued are, some of the combine things, people's like hand size, maybe their 40-yard dash time is a little overvalued. So looking at their college performance and sort of like the advanced metrics are going to be really important.
So you're actually looking at the college tape more than the teams are looking at it.
Potentially, yes. I think that that's probably going to be more predictive for the type of performance that we're going to see. We saw a lot of that with Jonathan Taylor with his performance at Wisconsin and kind of how that translated into a really great success both in the NFL and for fantasy football.
Okay, so people are thinking about fits. How does a certain player fit? Certainly for a running back, is there going to be a tandem system? What does the team have? Who's throwing to a wide receiver? What are some of the players out there and what it looks like, how it's lined up, who could really benefit if they fall into the slot that they're projected?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the guys that I'm going to be most excited about are going to be Chris Olave. Both of the Ohio State guys, to your point, Garrett Wilson is currently favored to be the number one wide receiver, I should say, to be drafted. If he ends up in a place like Green Bay, for instance, that would be awesome for fantasy managers. They certainly are in need of a wide receiver right now. So those are guys that I'm definitely looking at. I'm also looking at Breece Hall. He's not projected to go in the first round or anything like that, but certainly if he falls into a good system, like the Buffalo Bills have been discussed as a potential scheme fit for him. So that could be interesting for fantasy.
It's really interesting because the running back has been almost completely neglected because teams don't think there's not enough value, partly because the running backs are making on average $2 million, where a left tackle is making $6.5 million. So if you get someone in the draft, the delta on the value is so much better. But when people are evaluating running backs, you have the example of Jonathan Taylor being the league's leading rusher. You have the example of, in the past 15 years, only one time has the leading rusher been over 27 years old, Adrian Peterson. In 2015, he was 30. So there's pressure on fantasy owners to draft a young player. So how do people look at that?
Yeah, the shelf life on running backs is certainly shorter than some of the other positions. There are guys that right out of the gate are going to be impact players like Javonte Williams. He's maybe not going to be as impactful this year as a lot of fantasy managers would hope with that Melvin Gordon signing, but Najee Harris is a name that obviously he fell into a perfect system with no competition and ended up producing at a very high level. So certainly there are guys that are going to make an impact in their first year.
We like to be really nerdy here at the Action Network. Is it crazy to think about offensive linemen? If a key piece is added on the offensive line, that you then feel more comfortable about a running back who's, 3 or 4 years in? Is that doable to figure that out?
Just say that you're talking about the New York Giants. Right?
There you go.
Yes,
right, they need Saquon Barkley needs a couple people.
Yes, obviously Andrew Thomas was maybe not as impactful on that line, and if they were able to scoop up a first-round lineman, for example, I would feel more comfortable about Saquon Barkley, especially coming off of 2 years that have been marred in injuries.
Is there one player out there that you didn't mention that you're thinking this guy could be really good, but if he's not on the right team, he might be, not make it?
Yeah, guys like Kenneth Walker, I think That's an interesting guy because people kind of want to peg him in that third down role, but he actually has very limited snaps in the receiver role. I think he has good hands, but we haven't seen that from his college production.
Right,
So,
every running back you want to make a receiver because
Yes.
how the game has changed.
right, but I think he had about 30 receptions or something in like his entire college career.
Right.
So it's really hard to say that that's going to translate one-to-one.
Samantha Previte from the Action Network, thanks for joining us. The 2022 draft here in Las Vegas, and we're live from the Legacy Club.